The inspector never really mentioned to us that there was a major issue with gas getting into the house from the garage.
There's holes everywhere. I don't want that exhaust coming into my house. It's not good for you. It's all going to come down. Ryan and Eunice live downtown in a condo, wanted to move out. Go to the suburbs. Get a house that's half decent, not too old, 5 years old in that neighborhood. They found a nice place, got a home inspector in. 2 thumbs up. House is great. They knew going in and buying the house that the deck was not finished. You know, but the things that I want to look at are the dangerous things. You go into a garage, if there's holes in the ceiling and the plaster's not finished, there's holes everywhere, think about the gases from your vehicle going into your house. Shouldn't an inspector take a look at that? Yes. Should he report on it? Yes. Is it in the report? No. We're going to find out what's right, what's wrong, what we need to do to make it right.
Eunice and I got married just over a year ago, and we've been looking for quite some time for a home. When we previously lived in a condo, it was about 640 square feet, so when it was a little tight for the 2 of us.
We were looking to buy a home that had enough space and fit our lifestyle.
The moment you stepped in the house, we had lots of light in this house, and the flow through from front to back was really important for us. Separate dining rooms, so a place where we could entertain friends and family, leading into the back of the house where we had a large open kitchen leading into a family room.
We fell in love with it.
We didn't want to, go for a cheap home inspection, so we thought we'd go to the next level and hire in an engineer. During the inspection, we went through all areas of the house, and I had some concerns and asked him about certain areas of the home, which he didn't really seem to think were a major issue.
Eunice, I'm Mike.
I'm Ryan.
Ryan, pleasure to meet you. Nice house, 5 years old, and we have problems.
We do.
I hate that. We do. So you have all kinds of cracks. One around the receptacle, not noted in the report, around the receptacle, again here. And across the bottom, you see how they just tape it to the wall? Now, it's minimum code. You're allowed to do it, right? But it must be bonded. Now, what we really want to do is an acoustical caulking across the bottom so no air can drive up behind that drywall when we get in the house. So think of your car running in here, okay? So all the gases, off gases coming from your muffler. Just fill this area and then start getting inside the house. Have you ever noticed a smell in the house? Have you?
We haven't as of yet, no.
I'm surprised. There was some good workers in here, and there were some guys that don't care. Look at the drywall. These guys care? Look. Pop nails, pop nails, pop nails, pop nails, all over the place. This is not a good thing because that means that invisible gas now gets into the house.
We were having family come to visit right around the time I was preparing the room and getting it ready for our guests. And it was wintertime, and I noticed it was extremely cold by my feet. There was a full draft coming right at the baseboard underneath the window.
That one area, it looks like you got a pocket there, a hole. Anyways, as the cold comes in here in the winter, because it's not heated, it's going to find its way in. They didn't have to drywall it, so you know.
The inspector mentioned that to us, and I actually called him back, and he said because it wasn't directly over a room, you're right, he said that they didn't have to do it.
Now, this portion of the room is right where the room ended in the garage, but there was still some garage in front of it.
That wall is the inside wall of the house. There's your floor joist. That room, that little jut out over top of the garage, this hole is not only letting in the cold air, it's letting in exhaust fumes from your car right into the bedroom. This attic is now, like any other attic, is like outside. It breathes from the outside, allows cold air coming in, and it should have been drywalled off so that cold air stays in the cold zone. Does not compete with the house.
The inspector told me that mortar was a form of our value.
He told the homeowners that when they parched over this brick, it would act as a good insulation. I think what he was trying to say, and I'm going to assume, is that it would help stop the draft from coming in. It has nothing to do with an R value. It has nothing to do with insulation. But anything you can use to stop a draft is smart. That's why we think of the can of spray foam like they tried to do that we see up here. This is about the garage being cold and gases come in the house.
The fact that we've now found problems that are visible to the naked eye weren't caught then, it's a bit frustrating.
See those stairs?
Yep.
Anything over 3 stairs requires a footing. You see the footings underneath it? So when they did this, they took this out. So right away, I read the report, and this is not even in there. The problem with these stairs is the footings will not hold these stairs proper. It's not a precast step. It's not a full step like a full sill underneath the window. Without proper support, these stairs will shift and sink away from the house. He did catch that there's no rails, because we need a rail when we're over 3 steps. The other issue is that because they brought up the height of the front porch, they've changed the height of the steps. It's also very important that each and every step is the same height. As a matter of fact, it's absolute code. They won't even give you a 1/4 inch flex on this one. I don't like the way it's done. It looks good, but it's a piece of crap. Sorry. You have a hole up there.
We do. Well, that is one thing that the inspector did not catch, that there's a hole between the soffits and the stone of the house.
It's a pretty big hole.
It's big enough for a bird to get in and have a family.
Birds, eh? Why Is it cold in the garage or the room above the garage? Why? There's holes everywhere. I care about the gases more than I care about cold air coming in. I don't want that exhaust coming in my house, especially if I have kids. It's not good for you. It can kill you. Oh, we missed that one. That hole is going to allow all kinds of critters in. We're trying not to have holes inside our house. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go up there. I'm going to kick the birds out. Is that what I'm going to do? I can't send them to a bird hotel, right? So what I may have to do is talk to the homeowners. I'm probably going to do this and say, wait for the birds to leave the nest. Now, I heard something about a window well.
Yes.
Can I take a look at it?
Certainly.
Thank you.
During the inspection, we came across one of the windows in the basement, and on the floor, you could see that there was an area where there had been water on the ground before from down the wall. And I spent the time to make sure to point out to the inspector that this was an area I really wanted him to look at. We were led to believe that it was fine, that it could have been from an open window or something else.
I read in the report that there was a cover over this.
Yes, there was a flat cover that was level with the deck when we first got the house.
Well, this is one thing that drives me insane. This is going to leak more than an actual window because I want to see a full precast. This is precast. It's not brick, so I really like that. So it should be a full piece. Think of the rain directly coming into here. Where does it go?
In the house.
Into the house, under the window.
Yeah. Right behind the brick is where it goes. Maybe they pulled out the window well because there's a window well there. Did you put that in?
No, that was previously.
So I think they took out the window well when they built the deck. Whoever built this deck pulled out that window well because it was in their way. And what the window well is going to do is try and stop any water or anything from getting too close to that window. But it failed, really, because there's no real sealant around these windows. If you really look at this, the stone is running down towards the house. If it is, it's going to bring the water towards there. There's a crack on each side of this window, and it's going to go right through that crack.
Ryan and I both were brought up understanding that the structure of your house was a very important aspect. He was worried that it could actually be the base of the foundation as opposed to the walls.
I guess you were thinking 5 years old, it was a good buy, a good area, nice. It is a nice area, nice ceilings.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is, oh my gosh, we have water in the basement. You think that's the worst thing. This was the area on the floor that was visible during the inspection, and it looked like you could see where it would run down the wall. After talking with the inspector again, he mentioned just cutting it open, having a look, and after doing so, we could notice, you can see where the water was coming down from below the window, as well. There's a few hairline cracks in the foundation that the water was flowing through as well.
Hairline cracks, it's in the report. They're standard, not really an issue. The water's coming from underneath the window, so water's actually building up in the back for whatever reason. Maybe it's sloping back underneath the deck, and we'll have to take a look.
We're not able to finish the basement until we know what is happening.
We see the signs of the water. We can see that there was gap from the window frame itself to the wall. We see that somebody took out the window well in the back. If there's grade going away from the house, it's going to bring the water away. It's just going to go. But if it comes back for any reason, maybe it was the deck height. Maybe you dug a hole here. Maybe you dug a footing here. You don't know. Give the advice. You're going to have to pull up that deck area. You're going to have to take a further look. You know, you may want to do this and not just spray foam, but caulk, because spray foam is not watertight.
This was just tucked in up top, but very loose, and he didn't catch it. And we don't know where it goes. If it's live.
It goes up behind the wall behind the kitchen somewhere.
It's not live. Going to have to do a full inspection of your garage. I think that's going to be the biggest culprit of the most amount of damage that I'm going to be doing is in your garage. Things were missed by the inspector that I would have liked him to tell you about so that you understand and you can address these things yourself.
Great.
Okay? Great.
Thank you.
Don't worry. Everything's going to be all right.
Thank you.
I'm actually really not sure what Mike's going to find now when he actually gets in and looks at the hole in the garage.
No, home inspector actually is not allowed, not qualified, will not open up a hole to inspect something. They can assume, which I wish they would assume more. But I can't, because this is beyond this inspection now, right? I'm here to find out what's wrong, what did he miss. This is where my job gets interesting, because I go beyond inspection. What do you see right now when you look up in that hole? What's right there? Ductwork, right? You see exhaust line running. Why don't they do an insulated blanket around the ductwork that leads to the room up there? Don't you think that's a smarter move? So if this is a cold area, air movement goes up against it. There's the ductwork right there, right? That cold air not only cools that duct line, it takes a hell of a long time for the hot air to heat that duct, but it gets up into the floor. It gets up into the areas that it shouldn't get up in. Why am I getting so many emails that this is the coldest room in my house? This is not working. That's why. It's all going to come down. The inspector really should have warned the homeowners about the vent and air exhaust for the furnace. Now, it needs to be a minimum 3 feet away from any open window. So we're definitely 3 feet away from this. And just on the money on this one. What about this window? That's an issue. You know, this house is full of minor things. Stupidity. What plumber does this? That's an ugly joint. Well, I'll tell you what happened here. They actually ran all this first, cut this in after, and the way he tied it back in didn't work. This runs uphill. Drains don't run uphill. That means this is full of water, always full of water, so it chokes it off.
Mr. Holmes,
Mr. Bennett.
Hey, bud. How you doing?
It's a really nice neighborhood, a really fairly well-built home with some sloppiness. This is the drain.
Wrong slope? Oh, it's got a bulge in the middle.
Yeah, because they pulled it up too tight. I swear, whoever strapped the lines was the helper. You know, the plumber did his work, and he went in and
You're probably right.
them.
Because they're knocking these houses off so fast in these subdivisions. I mean, they're here. It's piecework, right?
Piecework. You said it. Piecework. How fast can I make that piece work?
Oh, Jesus.
That's really good. No corner bead.
Yeah.
All kinds of gaps to allow the air in.
Yeah, holes here.
Holes there.
So this wasn't inspected?
Yeah, it was inspected. So the homeowners did notice when it rained that water came in, and they were really concerned that it was coming in through the foundation.
Right.
We can see it was coming in from the window. So let's pull this off, let's pull some of the deck boards back, and take a visual of what we see here, okay? Okay, any problems, call me.
The button.
Yeah, keep up the good work, buddy.
Thanks, man.
I have been to developers' homes. I have been to builders' homes. They don't have this crap. So that mortar just comes right out, right? I can take it out. And if that mortar's cracking, and if I keep pulling that out, you're going to see practically the inside wall. Add a new one to your list, Mr. Inspector. Sills.
Okay, guys. This is your brand new home for a week and a half. I have to get them to take all the electrical outlets and lights off of the ceiling. We're going to drop the ceiling. Those have got to come off. And the proper gaskets have to be used. So what happens in the winter or in the summer, because someone's idling their car in here, people are upstairs, the vapors will actually get through any little crack possible and actually work its way into the house. That's carbon monoxide. It's poisonous. It could kill you. So we don't want that. We want to make sure your garage is 100% sealed. We're going to fix it properly. They have a little bit of a leak downstairs in the basement. As you can see here, all these sills, all the mortar's loose out of them, okay? It's around the whole house. We're going to silicone all these, okay? And also, there's no window well here. Somebody took the window well out at some point. MJ, you're going to be dealing with the deck.
All right.
You wanted a bit of a project, so you're going to get it.
Oh, the rot.
That's the railing, right?
Wow.
It's not the rot. It's the way they built it. It's really, really bad. Taking all these boards off. You're going to be taking all these boards off on the front face. Get everything off of this deck.
As you can see, the 2x6 isn't tied into anything. It's not tied into the structure. They screwed it into here. What they should have done is bolted it into these 4x4s. That way it's one solid piece.
Oh, my God.
Now, hold on. Wait, it gets worse. Not only did they not use galvanized screws, but watch.
Why the hell? Okay, the structure looks good up until this point, and then it just fell apart. Okay. Yep. 1, 2, 3. We know this window is leaking. I want a window well in there, so I need to see the framing under here. Then you have the rest of the day to come up with a design of what you want to do here.
This is a big job.
Well, I've MJ working on the deck. I think it's time to get Martin started on the plumbing.
Okay. That way.
Yeah. You're on your own.
The first thing that I see is this joint is falling apart. I've got too much slope going this way, and then I have incorrect slope going past this fitting. So it's pretty much a valley formation, but there's going to be water sitting here. It's not going to drain properly. It will eventually create a blockage. This is all my vent, and look how much stuff there's already sitting there. And the farther we go, the more of that stuff we see. And this thing is it's just pure grease. It's just the debris that you accumulate from just a regular usage of a kitchen drain.
You and me, stairs now. Let's go. Let's take these apart. I really want to see what's under here so that we can actually make a plan of what we're going to do here, okay? Well, it doesn't look like they're on a footing at all, does it? They got the heights wrong. They didn't get a pattern. This eventually would have sank away from the house and pulled everything away. And it was already dangerous. It would have made it more dangerous. Yeah, like that was never going to fall. Look at that. That's the base right there. Just going apart that easily.
The water was coming in through the bottom of this window because there wasn't enough room to let the water dissipate. In other words, with no window well in place, when we get a lot of snow or a big rain, the water is just going to go right through the bottom of the window. But if there's a window well in place with a gravel bed, that will allow the water a chance to dissipate a little bit. Since we have this area partially excavated, it was a good opportunity to put another layer of membrane over top, overlapping the piece that was there, which was a little bit low. We did find a weeping tile system present, so that's good. We're going to put a filter cloth over top of the piece of exposed pipe. And then we're going to get our window well installed.
We showed up today with a call about birds. First thing to do is to take a look around to find out what kind of bird activity we have. We have a camera, it's a long snake camera, so we took a look up inside with that. Once we put the scope in and we were up at that level, we didn't hear any noises, nor did we see anything on the camera itself. Next recommendation, now that we've identified that there are no young, is to pull parts of the east trough out so that we can remove all the nesting material, and then we'll put that all back together and close everything off nicely so that the adults and nobody else can make it their new home.
This is typical of new home construction. What they do is they drop a false ceiling down in their garages. This is a room up above us. They insulate between the voids like they should do, vapor barrier it, and then they run a heat vent into this void to try and warm the floor. The unfortunate thing about doing something like this is that the cost actually gets passed on to the owner because your furnace is pumping this out. This is going to always be cold. There's no way they're going to heat this area. This amount of cold against this little heat run, who's going to win? The cold's going to win. There's way more cold hitting this than there is heat coming into it. Stairs came out obviously pretty easily. Me and Carlito took them apart in about an hour this morning.
No footings.
Absolutely no footing.
So you took the ceiling down?
Yeah, ceiling's down. No surprises. We knew exactly what we were going to see, right? Heating run in, white insulation, cheap insulation, vapor barrier done very poorly.
Very poorly.
Very poorly.
Any tape at all on it?
There wasn't.
All right, good job. Let's bring in the homeowners and we'll tell them what we found.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan, Eunice.
Hello.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you, sir.
Wow.
All right, there's no footings. Why is there no footings? Because this was what we call the builder's landscaping stairs. As long as they put in 2 steps, they don't need to put in a footing. So what we're going to do is bring in a landscaping specialist that is going to do a proper set of landscaping stairs for you. We're not going to tell you too much other than that. You'll see it when we're done, okay?
Okay.
Let's go to the garage.
Okay.
We took it down. They did have a hot air line in there. Think about that for a second. First of all, it's really against code. If you're going to put in a hot air run, you're going to have to do a return because you can't blow into a bottle. There must be air movement, right? So we're capping that off. We're going to wrap all the pipes with insulation. Bring in Alex. He's going to spray foam everything. It will be a complete thermal break. And more importantly, no dangerous gases will be able to get into the house. Want to see the back here?
Love to.
Sure. It's a little bit of a...
Are you ready?
If you think this is a war zone, wait till you see the back. Take a walk in. You can see, well, it's not that bad. It's not that good.
No.
Okay, they dug down. You can see all the clay. We've had the Bone Brothers in, and they actually waterproofed the foundation in the area, which I love. Yep. They did have a vertical weeper there. And whoever built the deck, they actually leaned it back, correct?
That's right, yeah.
So it's not doing much if it's leaning back here when it's supposed to be picking up the water here. So we put it back in the right direction.
And absolutely, don't worry, your foundation is not leaking. All the water from under this window is coming from this window. Okay. That's exactly what's happening. So I'm going to take a look at the caulking. I'm going to make sure that doesn't leak again.
Damon's come up with a great idea for the deck.
Should I tell him about it or keep it as a surprise?
Well, obviously, he's taken all the top boards off. If you notice, they have the 4x4s coming up off the concrete post, which is correct. Holding it up, they had it bolted to the 4x4, so our structure is properly done, properly tied into the wall. So I'm looking at this thinking, they did get a permit. But what they didn't do was continue and design this deck to continue the post up to give a rail that's tied into concrete. I think the plumber that worked on this house did it on a Friday, and he really wanted to get his butt home. That's what I think.
Yeah. It's all about strapping down the basement. Tight is strapping up too tight, give it a bow, nothing's draining. It's just a mess. It was just unclean work.
But we fixed it. Good. Yeah. Right. And we'll continue this until we're done, and then we'll bring it back and show you. And you know what? Maybe we'll have a party on the deck.
Hey,
party on the patio.
We like that.
So once again, any questions? Anything you need?
Thank you.
It is great that they're going to deal with the garage and make sure that it's safe and warm for our guests and for us upstairs. Definitely help us with heating bills, and looking forward to having a warm room above the garage in the winter.
We're going to install a window well, and we're going to put in a proper gravel bed. And most important is that when the soil goes back in place, we have to make the soil in a bowl formation. So that weeping tile will be the center of the bottom of the bowl. So when we get a thaw, the water will go to the bottom of the bowl and drain out through the bottom of the weeping tile.
obviously have our thermal break-in. It's the best stuff you ever want to use. It's the spray foam. It's the 2-pound spray foam that we use. So we've coated all underneath the floor for the room upstairs and brought it up onto the face of the wall just to stop any draft at all from getting into that zone. No vapor barrier in here. You go right to drywall and mudding. It makes me very happy.
We got a bunch of stuff going on today. We're going to tear up with the existing product on the porch there. It's just, it hasn't been sanded properly. It's not providing any kind of water protection for the house. It's not necessarily a horrible idea. If it was sanded properly with some nice polymeric sand that locks up the joints, seals them up really well, then we wouldn't have to worry about water getting in there. Problem is right now there's nothing. There's just voids and the water's getting underneath the brick. In the long run, you're just going to get a lot of water penetration to the house, and also that salt that gets underneath the brick, that's just going to eat away the concrete over time. We're also seeing damage already against the house on the pillars, the columns around the front of the house. That's probably the weakest concrete in this whole picture, so it's the first to take the damage.
Well, we came to fix a railing, and we're doing a deck, it looks like. It happens every time.
We've completely restructured the outside of the deck, giving it a double outside plate here. It's something to actually, some meat to actually carriage bolt it through. We're going to box them all in, glue it, screw it, bolt it. These posts are not going anywhere. This railing is not going to move. It's going to be solid.
There's a few little concerns, you know, there are unknowns right now how it's going to turn out. I know Mike mentioned about having perhaps to lose the stone on the front of the step on the landing out front.
We're at the front door right now. What is this doing right now? That is moving. What's behind this? This is the inside of your house. This is the wood framing of your house behind that. The basement is leaking right at this point. Water will always find the path of least resistance. This is least resistance. So the first thing I'm going to do is mortar this piece back into place. So I'm going to caulk the joint right around the bottom. I'm going to come up and I'm going to caulk every seam possible. Once I fix the window in the back, they will no longer get water in that window. Once we fix this, water will no longer get in here. They have a dry basement. They can actually finish it the way they want it to. Right to this piece? So we have a warm floor. Now what we're going to do is make it safe for them from the carbon monoxide, which is our drywall. Our drywall, once you mud those seams with Durabond, we're going to give it 2 coats. By code you need 1. We're going to give it 2. It's going to stop any vapors from getting through. We're also going to put gaskets around all our switches and plug plates, caulking along the whole underside of all the drywall where it meets the wall, and voila, we have a totally sealed room away from carbon monoxide. They're safe, they're warm, and it isolates the garage. The really most important part is to really adhere this to the wall, and screws are the best. And another thing is a lot of guys will leave their drywall a ½ inch away from the corner. If you're walking by, you hit it with a piece of furniture, or you have something in your hand and you hit it, you'll end up cracking that seam. So the closer the drywall is to each other in the corners, the better the corner bead, the stronger the corner bead. So Mr. MJ, show me what you got for the railing, man.
I came up with 2 ideas.
Yeah?
This is what I got. What I wanted to do is these railings here say every 3 railings. I wanted to bring it up about 12 inches before the top.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put some lattice and some cove molding, maybe around that.
Tell me a bit about the other one then.
This one is actually a really, really simple design. There's these little pegs you get. You just drill them in the center of the 2x4. And then you slip these posts on and pretty much call it a day.
So these are aluminum black railings?
It looks really nice and it's really simple.
Now I'm going to go with this system because it'll go faster and it's actually going to suit the deck a little more than I think this will. So I'm actually pretty proud, man. That looks really good.
Thank you, sir.
So now you just have to implement it for me.
I'll do the best I can.
Things on. All right, sure. The homeowner, Ryan, actually was explaining to me in the winter that the boards were so tight that nothing was draining off them and became an ice rink. They were so tight they were actually shifting and splitting. They had no room to swell and shrink. So if you give it a space on pressure treated right away, you're good to go on whether the wood expands and contracts because you'll always have that gap.
Dishwashers require a dedicated circuit, and they clearly missed using the dedicated line that was provided. Well, when the inspector missed this, it could have been very easy to troubleshoot. All you have to do is go back to the panel. It's clearly marked dishwasher. When you turned off that line, dishwasher was still live. Why? Power's coming from this box here. Just a matter now of connecting this wire to the wire that's going up to the dishwasher. I'm done. So I actually have an easy job for a change.
So our goal here is to create a staircase that itself will hold together, that the steps aren't going to shift independently. By using a slab of concrete underneath everything, the whole thing, everything we build with the interlock and the steps will all be one solid unit. So we're going to put in a steel lintel, which is going to be bolted to the foundation, and it's not going to be attached to the concrete, but the concrete is going to rest on it. So there's no chance that concrete is ever going to settle. Nothing will be able to shift independently, and we're backfilling that whole staircase with concrete as well. We have to use Ultra Base just because it's a dry pack product. We can treat it the same way we would gravel. It's a dry pack cement. It's just barely wet enough for us to work with, just with the assumption that tomorrow we don't have to worry about compacting it. It's hardened. It's in the process of curing. If we use regular cement, we'd have to pour a slab. We'd have to trowel it dry. We'd have to wait for it to cure. This becomes a much more labor-intensive process. So now with our product, we can dump the base in, rake it out, and then lightly hammer our first row of block down into that base. So we kind of do 2 or 3 steps all at once.
Looser now. Thank you. When I tell you guys are going to lift this, okay, until it's level? Well, I've called some help into the backyard here. I think it needs more attention back here than Carl needs help in the garage. Okay, go. That's perfect. Thanks to my 2 strongest guys. Here, so I have the girls laying some deck boards, getting the guys head on the framing, getting their posts and reframing this deck, because this deck over on my left here is actually sagged in the middle. We're correcting that right now by lifting up the middle and rebolting through. And maybe tomorrow I can actually get some railings on this thing.
This is neat. I've never actually done a deck before, so interesting to learn and fun to do. I need to do one at my house.
Well, I have Ryan and his crew mortaring all the joints between the new stones on the front porch. They're cutting, measuring, and gluing the new stairs.
Right now, Damon's going to be building the planter boxes. There's going to be 3 of them in total. It's going to look a little nicer than rails on the lower deck, which would be a little bulkier, and it's not necessary. These will look really nice. Give her a place to garden.
You did a good job, man. So tack this one, and then I'll help you level this.
I like this railing because it's simple, it's really easy, and it's fast to put together. And the end result looks pretty good. I like the thing.
It's totally sand. Oh, you think that's where it's leaking? Oh, I feel the air conditioning from inside. See? That explains where all the water's come from. They have a weeping hole right above the window, right into a thin bed of cement. It was never going to hold water out. Clean that up, get all the mortar out, take a look if it needs spray foam, caulk it up. Okay, thanks.
When we're doing the vent, code states you need to be 18 inches from any inside corner. Not only that, you need to be 3 feet from any window. Your off gases can come back into the house if someone would leave the window open. We drilled some holes through. We're venting it to the side of the house. There's nothing here that's in the way, so I'm all within code coming out this side of the house.
Is it coming in?
I'm not telling you anymore. It is now. It went in my face.
Well, look, we have a totally sealed room away from carbon dioxide. They're safe. They're warm.
I mean, the first thing is, oh my gosh, we have water in the basement. You think that's the worst thing?
It's reveal day. It's going to be stressful today. I'm going to be on edge, and that puts everyone else on edge. You know, it's the stress of getting a job done, making it perfect for when they come in, when Mike comes in. I mean, I have a lot of stress on my shoulders about that stuff, so I take it pretty seriously. I can't say enough about the front steps. It actually ties into the house. I'm very happy with it. So we have that to do. We have the soil in the back. I have to get some soil in the garden in the front. Carl did a fantastic job. It's probably the nicest garage in this city alone. I cannot believe how nice it looks in there. So he's done a great job mudding it. I have the girls standing right now just to help him out. We're touching up any holes, making sure we've covered everything in terms of caulking everything, making sure the garage is totally sealed, no vapors getting into the house. That's why we're here, making sure that that's done properly. We have Craig coming really soon to start painting it. The faster they're done, the faster Craig paints, the faster Frank can get in and start doing his plates. I need it painted before Frank can do his plates. So got a lot going on today.
What we're trying to do here is prevent any air, any gases from entering the home. The boxes that are installed on the wall now are plastic boxes with a rubber gasket around it, which makes it tight behind the drywall. What we're going to do is, for added protection, is actually install one of these. To access the receptacle, you just need to flip one of those. But the added bonus to this is we have a rubber gasket. Once this goes on the wall, it basically prevents any gases from going into the home.
Nice fit.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes, sir.
Did it again. Don't you think you might have went a little overboard here?
No, come on. This is like perfect for this house.
This is like something I do.
I know. Well, I learned from the best, right?
This is nice. I would never have thought of a stone rail like this.
He came up with it at the beginning, and I said, go for it. And it is solid.
It is solid. Well, if the rest of the place looks like this, I'm going to be one happy camper.
I think you'll be a happy camper.
Let's see it.
All right.
Did we solve the problem in the corner?
Absolutely. We figured out what happened was that there was no silica sand in between the original stone, and they didn't mortar the joints, anything. So what happened, the water was sitting under the stone, saturating it, and we had nowhere to go. By the time we took up all the stone, and we actually looked at the sill underneath the actual door sill, the concrete sill was actually loose. They just basically slipped it in and walked away. Water was just getting right into the house. We mortared it back in. I caulked around the whole thing before he laid his stone in. So Martin and Adam fixed all this. Frank fixed the electrical.
I heard it was actually tied into the light. Now he's got the dishwasher on its own. So the line was for the dishwasher.
It was, absolutely, yeah. So,
Mr. Bennett, you're getting really good at this.
Thank you, buddy.
Really
I really appreciate that. That's good timing.
I'm sure they're going to like it, too. How are you? I'm doing well, thank you. Come on up.
I want to say surprise.
No, you know what? He wants to say surprise, but it's not a surprise because you're home every day.
That's right.
So you've seen this.
It looks
We've seen part of it. We haven't seen the finished product yet. The front steps are unbelievable. We liked the ones before, but these ones by far are way nicer than what we had ever dreamed of in the gardens and the planters out front.
The stone on the ground was new. It wasn't there yesterday.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, there was the stuff on the other side.
On the other side, yes. Did you notice that? Well, to balance it all out and to make it match, just to cut the driveway, put in the runner on each side of the driveway to make it look right. But I do like this. I really do.
So do we.
Finished the drywall all the way, proper installation, and I wanted to make sure that we actually wrapped the ducts, sprayed everything. So no worries. You can probably call me in the winter and go, holy cow, Mike, I can't believe you're boiling. It's hot up here.
The garage is completely different than it was before. It's not even the same room. It almost looks like a bedroom in there. Somebody could live in there. It's done. It's smooth. It's seamless. It looks fantastic.
So what is the most important thing besides the cold issue of upstairs that we've solved? The most important, exhaust. We no longer have to worry. I'm so sick and tired of seeing the way they tape it down. You actually run a drywall strip here, didn't you?
No, that drywall strip was there, but there was no corner bead, and there was huge gaps right underneath all your drywall. So I had Kate caulking around this whole room. I mean, everywhere.
And sealing receptacles, right? So we have a gas right behind it. So I'm going to make sure that no gases can get into your house, because to me, this is really important. I'm surprised you didn't smell it before, because A, all the holes, all the leakage, which is not allowed in minimum code. It's just not allowed. Let's go around the side of the house. Ready?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Okay, let's go. Kind of funky.
It does look awesome.
Looks so good.
It does look really, really good.
They planted a couple of trees.
Hey, look at your step, too. Look at that. My foot fits on it.
See, that's I'm size 12, he's size 12, and that's the way to do it.
There's a bench.
Yeah, there's the bench. Now, that's actually a really smart idea. I didn't think of that. That was Damon. He sealed the window. He built the bench, which creates somewhere to sit, which is a great idea. You just come over here and, sit at the window. This is what I like to Ryan. Honey, can I have a beer? So you got to make sure this window's open for them.
All time.
We did a water test on your window because remember I was telling you that your foundation is not leaking. It's your window, and we proved it today. We soaked the hell out of that window, and nothing came in. So I just had Carl talking me back and forth to the window, and I gave him a little spray myself. So we did both 2 water tests.
Two water tests. There's something that says that the home inspector needs to be more, not liable for what he misses, but come on now, if you don't know these things, educate yourself. Find out. What does it take? You walk in the garage, I see holes. I see a cold zone. I see things. Okay, you may want to bring someone in here who knows what we're talking about, because this doesn't look right. Had he have said that, I would have been happy. Look at the window. He said there was no problems. If you look at the window, it looks like there's problems because you're the one that noticed it was leaking on the inside, right? Is it comfortable? You like it?
I love it.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure helping you both.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
how I get paid.
Pleasure.
Thank you so
very much.
You are welcome very much.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you, Jerry. Tomatoes. Is that curry chicken?
Jerk chicken.
Jerk chicken.
Yep.
I like you more.
Spicy for you?
That's not ketchup. That's hot sauce.
Okay.
I win. Good job.